to Walsall United, WFC.
Good evening, welcome to Ben and Matt Saturday Night Live. I do apologise for the slight delay. My computer decided it wanted to reboot before it went live, which was absolutely amazing. And obviously the men sort of overran just a little bit with stoppage time. So I do apologise that we're late, but we are here, better late than never. And once again, joined by Matt. How are we, Matt?
Yeah, good, pal. I want to say good afternoon, but then it just got ruined. So I suppose we'll stick with good afternoon and bad evening. So we'll go with that, pal. But yeah.
Evening, John Fry. How are we, pal? Evening, Robert. Nice to see you joining in on the correct time, Robert. Here he is. All right, John, how are we, pal?
He was here before you were, pal.
Well, that's what I say. Makes a change, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, let's push whatever the men have done out the way for an hour. And I've got my rant later on a different show. But this afternoon was a 5-star showing for Manchester United. Really, if we excuse my rubbish terminology there of a 5-star show, because that's what it was really. You know, I think Birmingham were absolutely bobbins. That's the poorest side I've seen in a long time at LSV. What did you make of the game overall, Matt? Am I doing Birmingham a little bit of a disservice there, a bit of a disjustice by saying that they were the poorest side that I've seen this season?
No, listen, they were worse than Villa, and Villa were pretty woeful. But listen, I don't know, because I feel like that's a disservice to us in a way, because I think for the first 25, 30 minutes, we were excellent. You know, we were really good, and little things were working that we did, and you know, everything that we wanted to do was spot on. I think the only thing, and it's going to sound harsh, but Skinner said it himself, was the second half. You know, not that the second half was dire, but the fact that we sort of just seemed to ease off a bit and didn't go for more, which I suppose at 4-0 up, it's one of them, innit, mate? And I know we're going to get into it properly, but yeah, overall, a pleasing performance. You know, like you said, I don't think Birmingham offered anything. They hit the bar. I think it was Louise Quinn. But apart from that, they offered very little. I think that was their only shot on goal, actually. Which is, it's weird because, like, I seen them last week and it was a completely different team to last week. Like, last week, I thought, oh, okay, you know, they've turned up, here we go. Thought they'd give us a decent game and that wouldn't be a one-off, but it seems that it is a one-off. So, yeah, I don't know, what can you say? But, yeah, they weren't great. Obviously, listen, they were never going to come here expecting much, but I would have expected better based on last week's performance. But yeah, it is what it is.
Absolutely. What do you think? What do we make of our midfield now? For me, there's still a couple of issues there, but I do think that it's slowly improving as the season's going along now. I think now that Skinner's got his ideas and pretty much, I think the way that he wants to set up and play, I think the players are now adjusted to his system now and adjusted to his ideas. Yeah. I'll start with the midfield. The reason why I ask about the midfield, because we know that this has been the biggest problem for us this season. Well, especially at the start of the season. But I think slowly but surely it's starting to come into its own now. There is a couple of exceptions there where players are misplacing passes where they shouldn't really be when they've got time on the ball. What do you make of our midfield now? Are you in agreement that our midfield now seems to be light years ahead of where it was, certainly at the start of the season?
Yeah, listen, I've been vocal about midfield, and I've said it's the best midfield we've had in our 4 seasons, but it's also been our biggest nightmare because, well, like John says there, it's taken us a while to get, 1, used to the way Mark wants to play, and 2, to find the right fit. And it's no coincidence that now Haley Ladd is playing weekly with Bo Risa and Tooney, that we're starting to see results. And, you know, we're on a decent run at the minute. We've carried it on, which was my worry since pre-Christmas, because January seems to be where we have our wobble. But listen, we've carried it on. And, yeah, the midfield looked good. Like you said, there's a few stray passes and a few little, you know, wobbly moments. But listen, we've kept now, 4 clean sheets in a row if we're including.
Yeah.
So, that tells you some story. Obviously, bearing in mind, apart from Brighton, they've not been three great teams in terms of Everton, Villa, and Birmingham. But listen, I don't care. We've got the wins. That's all that matters. So, yeah, it's like gone from our biggest problem to our biggest strength. And I think, it's ticking over nicely. And, I agree with John Fry. I think if we do make that change in there, obviously it's going to take Jackie a little bit of time to get up to speed, bearing in mind she's been out since about end of September, start of October. So, a few months. I think, we're looking good. And what I liked today was the fact that we still played sort of wingers or wide players that were effective. Leah was obviously out on the left, but she got 2 goals. I think did she get an assist as well? And it just worked. Like it looked good. And this has been sort of the thing. Like we weren't getting wingers involved, and they weren't staying wide. But today showed she didn't necessarily need to stay wide. Coming inside and being sort of a central player that's like wide, if that makes sense. A wide player playing more centrally, should I say? That's a better terminology. Just worked, and we broke the lines and we split the centre halves, and there was spacing between centre half and fullback. And this is something that he's been talking about since, for months, hasn't it? And what I liked as well is that in his interview afterwards, he talked about being nasty and the pressing not being the best. And I was glad he said that, because I think we've had conversations between me and you, and other fans have said the nastiness, and we've done shows on this. Are we too nice on the ball? And I think he's finally getting that that's what we've got to do, basically. Don't let these teams come to you, especially at home, come to you and start rattling you and you not do anything about it. And again, the pressing for me has been our biggest issue, where, poor Alessia, again, is shifting a half up top, but she needs a second press. And I think what I liked today was Borisa was pushed higher up, and it at times felt like a front 2. I don't think it was meant to be, but it felt like it. And it was good, because Borisa, unless it was the first press, Borisa backed it up. But Mark did say about sometimes going in half-arsed, which I agree. Obviously, he didn't use that terminology, but, he said, like, you've got to follow through, and if you're pressing, go and press with intent. And it's spot on. Like, nobody goes to press and just start, I mean, some players did, but just to, start jogging in that. And this is what we need to get. And if it can fix that and it can get the nastiness, I think we saw a challenge for Mannion. She sent a player into the advertising boards, Great. I'm not saying go around and hurt players. Obviously, it was unintentional, just the way it was on the pitch, right on the touchline. That's where she ended up. But, solid tackles like that. Haley Ladd flying tackles as well. It was great. But, I just think, overall, satisfied. And we keep going and hopefully take that into Wednesday.
I just want to point out John Fry's comment there about Kirsty Smith, pal. Coming for Hannah Blundell, I thought she had a really solid performance again today. I think we was there was times where she had acres of space down down the side of the field, and we weren't playing the ball quick enough down there. And every time the ball came to it was that split second too late, or the 30 seconds too late. It should have gone 30 seconds before and let it bomb down that down the touchline. What do you make of Kirsty Smith? Is that going to be? Is that Hannah Blundell maybe looking over her shoulder a little bit now, do you think?
Listen, people absolutely hammered Smithy in season 1, and I don't know why, being honest. Smithy's improved season after season, this season included for me. She's versatile. She's a right back, but she's played left back. And yeah, listen, she came in. I was actually surprised, but then the more I thought about it, I was having this conversation before outside with a few other fans. They were sort of saying, obviously Hannah has only recently had COVID. Could it maybe be after effects of that? Because we are seeing that a lot recently now, of people sort of having milder symptoms and then really struggling afterwards, and sort of fitness-wise and things like that. So that got me thinking potentially that was maybe the change, Smithy coming in, give Hannah a little bit of time, and then obviously Hannah got sort of the last 30 minutes, didn't she? But again, competition for places, it's what we want. So yeah, I just think, listen, Smithy, again, another solid performance, did a job, kept everything simple, and when she lost the ball a couple of times, she was straight back on it, getting it back, no dallying around or looking at it or having a go at teammates. It was just keep it simple and effective, and that's what she did. And yeah, it was good.
Absolutely. And the good thing as well about this game today, I felt like we all know Skinner likes to be vocal, but I just felt like that he's trusting Matty Ho a lot more as well. I think he's trusting him now to try and implement his ideas into the game. So watching him a little bit closer today, I noticed how earlier on in the season it was always Matt Skinner would be the one that's always out on the touchline being quite vocal. Yeah. But today it seems to put a bit more impetus and a little bit more trust. That's the word I'm looking for. In Matty Ho, and I know you're a big fan of Matty Ho. As a coach, do you think that's the right way to go about it? From a manager's perspective, maybe it takes pressure Skinner a little bit. Skinner can maybe see more of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with delegating that job. Listen, Martin is tactically very clever. He knows his. Listen, this is no bashing of Mark, but Martin's, like I say, tactically clever. He's worked in men's and women's football. He's a very, very, very good coach, and it works better now. And I spoke about this a while ago when we started our little run, sort of the start of December, of stringing a few wins together and things like that. I said, what have you all noticed? You've noticed that Martin is now the one with the orders and the encouragement and the get here, get there, behave, should be there, should be doing that. And like you said, Mark sort of takes an overview, and then obviously Mark will give a little bit of input of what he's seen, and it's better. It's just working. I can't put my finger on it as to why or sort of explain it, but it just is, and I'm not surprised because, like you said, I've always talked up. I sat, when was it? Last summer? Yeah, summer before, whenever Martin came in, I sat on a podcast and I sort of, spoke about him and said what to expect. And obviously he came in at our devs. And at first I was like, why is he in with the devs? This guy should be in the first team. Obviously at the time I had Glenn Harris. But yeah, I think it's working slowly and it's working well. So long may it continue. And, it's not a coincidence. Like I say, it's something that, like I say, I think if this had happened from the start, it might have had a different outcome. But look, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And looking back and reflecting. But we all said it'd take time. And now I think we're slowly starting to see more and more improvement, which is great in little bits. So, yeah, credit to Martin. I know Martin does do quite a bit of coaching as well. He will get involved and he'll take players after training and talk through routines or little things. So yeah, it's looking all right at the minute.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to touch upon as well, it looks like it's Thorostotti is taking a little bit of a back seat now, and the preferred partnership is Millie Turner with Mannion at the back. I do think we look a little bit more solid that way. A little bit. I think there's a bit more pace to. If the team gets in behind, that Mannion's got the pace. That Millie's no slouch. Whereas I don't think Thorostotti is a really pacey player. Do you think that's the right call as well? I think Thorostotti did quite well in there, a little cameo as well coming on.
Right back. She did, yeah. She's not a right back, but do you know what? It didn't really matter, did it? Because we were sort of 5-0 up and there's about 10, 15 minutes left. But no, I think, like you said, I think for me, you need a balance, of sort of strength and speed. And I think Aoife's got the strength and Millie's got the speed. And I think that works. And that worked it looked okay prior to Millie's injury. But I think Mannion and Thor, they were both strong, but like you say, there wasn't really the pace. And when you're coming up against, your Chelseas and your Arsenals that got pace up top and in midfield, we look dragged and run ragged. Whereas I think, and Millie's very, very vocal. She's a good communicator as well. And I think for me, you probably hear a little bit more, or I do from where I sort of stand, of her than, say, Mannion, which doesn't matter, but they complement each other really, really well. I think the added bonus of having Thor is sort of as the backup is that, again, it's if you are a few goals up or you need to, solidify it, that's when it's up to places that we've all been banging on about. So, yeah, at the minute, I don't want to say she deserves a place on the bench, but I think Millie and Mannion being a starting two is correct for me. And then utilize Thor whenever needed, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a squad game at the end of the day anyway. You know, we are going to see changes at various points of the season, whether it be tactically or for injury or purposes or whatever it may be. We know it's a good sign that we've got centre halves that can swap in and out with each other with a degree of comfortable to it. You know, we're not panicking. We're not going, oh no, you know, if such and such gets injured, we're absolutely knackered. You know, so it's good to see that we're finally starting to get the balance, especially at the back. Whereas in previous seasons we'd be like, oh, if Amy or Millie gets injured, we're a bit knackered, you know, at centre half. You know, but it's good that we've sort of solidified that position just a little bit. Although I do think we need at least one more really decent centre half, just to make it. You know, I always think teams need four centre backs, or really decent centre backs, to provide competition for places and to allow squad rotation, and when people are injured to slot in really, really comfortably. What we've got to touch upon Jackie, of course. It was a first game in a very, very long time. I don't know how long it's been, mate. It seems an absolute eternity. It seems an absolute age since you last played for Manchester United. Again, you know, I wasn't looking at too much. You know, I wasn't expecting too much of her. I know there was people in the crowd that wanted us to score. You know, to see us score. You know, on a return. But what did you make of a return? Nice and steady.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was only 15 minutes, wasn't it? But I think it's just about getting minutes in your legs more than anything. You know, she was sort of, there we go, October, like I thought. She was, just doing the usual self, you know, buzzing around the place, little link-ups, pressing was good. So, yeah, it's difficult to judge in 15 minutes, and especially when you've just come back from injury. Like, players coming on with 15 minutes to go, it's hard to judge, let alone just, like I say, coming back. So, yeah, she's going to build into it. You know, we've seen how well we've managed players. You know, we managed Alessia at the start of the season.
Yeah.
You know, we've had to manage bits for Millie coming back as well and other players. But yeah, listen, there's little glimpses there. And obviously, she needs to get up to fitness and get game time, like I say, sort of in her legs. But there was nothing wrong with what she did. So pleasing to see her back. I actually thought she might have come on earlier, to be fair. But yeah, there we go. She didn't. But she's back on the pitch now, and hopefully she gets that final starting spot with the other two in there.
You know, I don't know. I was late, but bloody hell, Gareth, what's your excuse? Oh, this is the guy, by the way, that thought he was playing tomorrow. But I thought I'd drop you in that. Sorry, Gareth, mate. Ouch. Hope you're well anyway, pal. I want to touch upon Birmingham though, because I know we're starting to start the show. There's probably the poorest side that we've seen at LSV. Yeah. I think they probably are the poorest side. You know, even in the even if you take the championship into account, I know they hit the bar like you said earlier on, but there were absolutely nothing there really from them. I didn't see any fight, didn't see any passion. And this is a team that just they beat Arsenal the previous week. You know, so. What's changed in that short period of time? Did you think, from a Birmingham point of view?
One up front. It really is. I'm not being funny. It's not even our team. It's just a general thing, mate. One up front is just shocking. Like, you know, they had Libby Smith up there, and again somebody else, and they subbed her at half time. And to be honest, I don't know why, because she looked probably their better player. But no, I think just you look at it last week, and they started their intensity from the off in terms of pressing, in terms of movement, and you heard their gaffer today shouting, "Come on, move!" And I think one of their players shouted something like, "Oh, we were careless in midfield," or "We're not that good in midfield." And I think somebody from ours shouted, "Neither are we," or "We were sloppy," something like that. They might have said, "Come on, this is sloppy in the middle," and I can't remember. It was funny, but yeah, just the lack of movement, the lack of support for the lone striker, the lack of pressing and aggression compared to what they had last week was off. And I don't know. I mean, I only caught sort of, what did I catch last week? Not much of their game, to be fair. So obviously it was more through replays of watching it, and obviously you don't get the full picture. So I have no idea how they set up last week, but yeah, big presence missing from their dugout. Oh, he means Marcus Ignat, the assistant, however you say his last name. Yeah, he wasn't there. Yeah, he's loud. But no, I just feel like there's little bits like that. And yeah, they couldn't get it together. They struggled with the passing. They struggled with keeping the ball. Like I said, they had one shot which hit the bar. There was just no sort of fluidity about the performance. You know, as soon as they got it, they lost it. As soon as they pressed, they were tackled. And like I say, that's probably doing us a disservice because listen, I know it's only Birmingham and I don't want to, absolutely go overboard, but our first 30 minutes was probably the best 30 minutes I've seen this season from us. It was like decent. So I think that compiled with what I've just mentioned for Birmingham probably meant that, they just couldn't replicate it for whatever reason. And, credit to Mark and his coaching staff. They've clearly done the homework and they've clearly watched highlights and thought, right, this is where they hurt Arsenal. This is where we need to be watching out for. This is where we can hurt them. And yeah, credit to Mark and the staff, I guess.
One of the goals there was they tried to credit it as an own goal on Sky Sports. It's going to go down as an own goal. We're going to have to talk about Paul Rambo there. L2's absolute rifle that shot.
Goal. Nah,
but Sky Sports are giving it it's definitely an own goal.
Sky Sports can do
but the reason why I wanted to touch on Emily Ramsey because she is on loan from our squad, out there at Birmingham. This is the first time I think a lot of people may have seen her play in the flesh a full 90 minutes. For those that might be new to the game that have come along today. For those of us, me and you, that have seen her from previous seasons as the United's backup goalkeeper and being out on loan at various different clubs throughout her United career. Have we seen an improvement in her game at all since she has become possibly the first choice by looks of it at Birmingham at this moment in time?
Not for me, no. I know it sounds like harsh, but no, listen, she was only playing today because the other keeper's injured. Because prior to that, she'd been dropped for Hourihan. So, no, it's a difficult one with Rambo. Either I'm not seeing what other people are, or other people aren't seeing what I'm seeing. And, that sounds terrible, but I just think we've got so for the Bagley now. Just let Rambo do whatever. But I don't know. There's always been something about like pause then, lad. I think just very, very. I don't know. It's hard to explain what it is. With like some shot stopping is decent, but then I look at not really want to sit here and think like, Rambo's going to be absolutely flying in our number one because she just looks a million miles off. Gareth says it there. Fran Bentley having a better season. She is. I don't know. Like, everyone was hyping Rambo because she kept a clean sheet last week, but was she really tested? Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, but I just don't feel like, even though playing most weeks of Birmingham is great, I just don't feel like she's, really stepped up that level. And you can't really tell. I can't tell. Whereas, like Gareth said, you look at not Rambo, you look at Bentley, and you look at what she's doing at Bristol, and you think, great. Her shot stopping's improved. She's footwork's looking better. Distribution's great. So yeah, all good. I'm getting hammered here, lad.
You are, to be fair. Nothing new there though on a Saturday night, though, lad.
No. Hey, listen, 25 minutes in is bloody good going.
It is, isn't it? Another of these robotic sort of symbols there from Gareth. The guy that forgot the game was today and thought it was yesterday. Thought it was tomorrow. Tell you, that's not good at all. Before we move on to the next one, I just want to get the final point on the goals, or the 5 goals that we scored. Was there any standout one for you? Whether it be your favourite shot or whether it be your favourite sort of team play with the build up towards the goal?
Well, seeing as you're all not giving Tooney a goal, I'm going to say Alessia's header. That was an absolute bullet. Blundell found some space on the left, crossed it in, and she threw herself at that, and that was enjoyed that. But I think the one that was pleasing for me, or the two that were pleasing, obviously, Galton coming in and scoring 2. I think that was good. But I think less is for a performance again, hard-working performance, flying header, and good seeing Leah on the score sheet. But yeah, I'm still disappointed. I'm not having that. Tooney, I know it'll give him that to Tooney, but never mind.
Gareth, son, you're disappointment, mate. That's all I'm saying on that one. What was I going to say? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was going to get you player of the match as well before we move on. That's just popped into my head.
Ooh. Do you know what? I should have thought about this, shouldn't I, before I come on? Going to give it Leah. I think Leah was everywhere, not just obviously. I mean, listen, it's easy to say, Leah, because she scored 2 goals, but she also assisted a goal as well. I think 2 goals and an assist, and that was probably a best performance. I'm trying to think of other games. Probably a best performance this season. So, mind you, Birmingham away, she was good as well, but I think today was better than that. 2 goals and assist, lots of nice little link-ups, worked hard, and yeah, that's the Leah we know. So, yeah, I'll go with Galton.
Nice one. I'd go Galton as well, mate. I thought it's the best performance I've seen in quite some time, probably since Birmingham away, like you said. I don't think we've seen the best of Leah at all this season. I think today's performance showed the Leah that we all know, the Leah that we all love. And, she was taking full-backs on, she was taking players on, she was having shots, she was passing. The passes were finding the right people, finding the right teammates in the red shirts and everything. I just think overall, I think it looked like she had a confidence back as well. I think, not saying she was walking around, with the world on her shoulders or anything, but it just seemed that she lacked that little. She was missing that little spark throughout the first half of the season. But since she's come back from the winter break, first game into it, and she looks back to her. She found that spark and looks back to her best. So how long may that continue? And obviously the big test will be on Wednesday night, which that's what we're going to move on to now, which is the January fixtures roundup. It's a mixed bag, isn't it? Really, I think, because if you look at the fixtures list, we have got in January, it's a bit of a mixed bag. We got Arsenal obviously on Wednesday, which we'll touch upon in a minute, in the Conti Cup there, and then we've got home to Spurs in the league, Leeds Sports Village, and then we round off the month with an away trip in the FA Cup to Bridgewater United. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there, I think. Starting with Arsenal, though, obviously we're going to go off their performance against Birmingham. And our performance against Birmingham, does that breed more confidence now that we can maybe get a result against Arsenal in this in the Conti Cup tie?
Yeah, listen, I'm never going to say they never can be beaten. Even before the Birmingham result, they can be beaten. But yeah, listen, I think we can go there with confidence. Obviously, we were able to take some of our better players off earlier today, and give them sort of a little bit of rest. So that's good. Squad pretty much is fit. Everybody's back now. Yeah, listen, why can't we go there and get something out of it? They've obviously got a couple of players injured. There's a few missing due to the Asia Cup. A couple of the Aussies and Iwabuchi will be missing as well, or she might play that. Might be last guy. I can't remember now. But yeah, so listen, for me, there's no reason to. They weren't hugely brilliant at LSV, to be fair. So I think we can go there with confidence. Listen, we've got nothing to lose. Everybody's got us as underdogs. That's fine. It's the cup game. It's a one-off game because it's knockout. Anything could happen. I'd love to sit here and say, 100% going to win, but it's not like that. But, there's no reason to not go there and be confident. So I think let's do it. Like I say, 4 clean sheets on the bounce. Things are looking better now. Sort of link-ups and partnerships are forming within the team, just with consistency and things like that. So, yeah, let's go and give it a real good go. We seem to have a little thing, don't we, in the Conti Cup, where we sort of get to the semis or the quarters and then sort of get knocked out. But it's an improvement on last year when we didn't even get out the flaming group. So, Yeah, I think let's just go. Let's just see what we get. You know, there's no reason to go there and fear them. You know, let's go out there and play our game. And I'm sure if we press them quite a lot and go for it, then don't be surprised to get caught due to COVID. We'll get on to that.
They are some men's teams again, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, you know, we can go there with no fear.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I would say is I don't know whether we'll be doing a preview show on the Arsenal game, but I just wanted to get your a quick thought. Do you think it'll change much as in terms of personnel, especially in goal? Do you think Bagley might play this game, or do you think he'll go for the experience of Earps?
It's difficult, isn't it? You see, I want to say go with Bagley, but then I just feel like the lack of game time not necessarily kills her, but it's not helpful, is it? So I don't know. I think for that it'll probably go Earps. Do you know what? I think the only change I would make, and it's going to be harsh on Smithy, but it would be to put Blundell in at the back. I would make a second change in midfield, but like I said before, I don't think Jackie's fully fitting up to scratch. So I'd pretty much, like I say, same team barring Smith for Blundell, but I do think that it would be harsh on Bagley. But I'd have no issues with Bagley. Listen, I love Bagley and I've liked her for a few years, you know, good keeper and seen quite a bit of her. But I just feel like I say, when you're a keeper, you sort of want that run of games and consistency, don't you, to sort of get your momentum and your confidence and just that sharpness as well. So the goal will be an interesting one. I think that'll be one where people are either going to be surprised or just think, oh, actually, no, you know what, same old. So yeah, but I can't see too many. I don't think there's a need to be fair, really. That said, if Smithy does play and it's the same team, I'm not disappointed. You know, it's absolutely fine. So see what we get.
I get this one with John. Yeah, I also think that I know that it's a bit of a sort of modern day thing with in the men's game where you have these sort of cup goalkeepers, as it was. You saw your backup keeper or your number two or your third choice, whoever's available to you at that time, has become your cup keeper. Which seems to be a growing sort of trend at the minute, you know, in the men's game. So that's why I thought I'd touch upon the goalkeeping situation, whether Sophie will stay in.
Well, the thing is, she does deserve it because obviously, like John says, they're keeper interested, but obviously she's been our cup keeper all season. So to swap her now just because it's Arsenal would be harsh, really. But it's one of them, like I say, you know, it's sort of, you know, hasn't played a lot. Obviously, no fault of her own. She's a quality keeper, but I don't know how we play that one.
But and also though, it's come out the other way though. You could give her the chance, and she could have the game of her life. You know, it's my chance to prove herself against arguably the best team in the league. You know, I know that. As you said, we'll touch upon it in a bit as well with the Asia Cup thing. You know, that they've got a few players with Arsenal. You know, injuries, Asia Cup, COVID. You know. But there's still a strong Arsenal. There'll still be a strongish Arsenal side. You know, they've got strength and depth. You know, so they don't lose very many either. You know, but it's just I just feel like, you know, I think just keep faith in Sophie. I think, you know, but if it was Earps again, like you said, I wouldn't be too disheartened. I wouldn't be too, you know. You know, because I like Mary Earps. I think she's been absolutely top this season, absolute top draw. I think she's took her game onto the next level, and I think she's had to as well with Sophie Bagley coming in. No disrespect to Rambo or to Fran Bentley, but there was never gonna. I think there was a comfortable, a bit like De Gea in the men's team. I think it was comfortable with Romero as number 2. Grant as number 3. But as soon as Dean Henderson comes in, David De Gea stepped his game up, and this season's become the David De Gea of old. And I think this Mary Earps it's worked the same for her, I think, in a way. You know, she's had Sophie Bagley come in, a young pretender, you know, somebody that had a really decent game against Rangers, you know, pre-season. We all thought, well, a few of us turned around and thought, this could be the end of Earps, this, you know. Bagley looks good, you know. The communication's good, the handling's good, the kicking's good. The shot stopping's pretty decent as well, you know. Still a lot to learn, obviously, you know. Still a young goalkeeper, you know. You never stop learning, but, you know, I just think keep faith in her. But we shall see what Mark decides, how it will go on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. Go on, sorry, man.
No, I think this is what. No, I was just going to say. I think this is what's good. It's nice that we can actually sit here and be happy with both keepers, because we've never had a situation where we've been even season 1. You know, you had 2 young keepers under Shivy, and I think this season it's refreshing that we can actually sit here and say, do you know what, we're not actually bothered who's in goal because we've got 2 quality keepers. But yeah, sorry, pick up what you were saying Wednesday. They've clashed.
No, I'm just going to say I'm not going to be there at Wednesday because I'm at Brentford game for the men's. Put myself through that torture, and I don't think you're not going to be able to make because of work commitments. I just wanted to get a quick prediction, man. I don't know whether we're doing a preview show, but I'll just chuck it out there. Quick prediction for the game. How are we going to go through?
I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. It's either that or a draw, pal. Penalties. Mind you, I'd fancy us on penalty. Well, actually, saying that, no, actually, I saw the show against Leicester from some of our players. No, I'll say 1-0 in normal time. We'll go for that, pal.
Absolutely. John Fry, I think, is thinking there might be 4 starting lineup changes. John, pop them in the comments, mate, because I'll be interested to know who you think that the 4 will be the 4 new fresh faces, if you like. So as I said, it is a mixed bag because obviously we're back into the obviously coming off the Wednesday, we're into the Sunday game. Spurs at home in the league. We're making this one where Spurs have improved quite a bit, you know, since the Championship days. You know, when we came up sort of up close and personal for them for the first ever time. You know, I think they've changed a little bit. They've definitely improved, but surely this we've got to be winning this one. Got to be winning this one too.
We have, yeah. I think. Listen, like you say, they've shocked me this year, Spurs, but they've recruited well. I think there's been a mixture of experience. You know, we did a show sort of a while back. I forget Beth. We did a show a while back, and we sort of talked about, you know, the signing of Molly Bartrip playing alongside Shalina Zadorski has worked out well. Obviously, Asmi Terrell coming in. Again, nice little great young player. You know, they've recruited quite well, Spurs considering. So yeah, I think it's another test. And listen, we weren't great away. We should have won the game. We didn't. And I think just at home, I'd like to think we have the edge. I am confident of a win against Spurs. I do think, listen, it's going to be tougher than it normally is. But I think, listen, we need to win it because we need to open up that little bit of daylight in the league table. You know, we've obviously got up to 3rd at the minute with games in hand. Tottenham have obviously got a game in hand on us as well and are 1 point behind. So obviously if they win that, we're back down there. So I think for me, we've got a 5-0 for a 3rd time. I'd love that, but I can't see it. Mind you, you never know. But yeah, I just feel like taking points off Spurs, knowing that they've got a game in hand over us, you know, and obviously the neighbours are creeping up there a little bit as well. We just need to keep the momentum going. But yeah, a couple of difficult games, obviously Wednesday and then Sunday. But I think I'm not going to chuck out a score prediction dead early, but if I was to, I would say probably a 2-0 win. That's probably just killed next week's show on it now.
I don't want to go too much into depth because I know that we're having preview shows as well for stuff like this. But
remind me next week that I said 2-0, will you, pal? Because if I say something else, people start to come for me and flatter me. So, you said 2-0 last week, and now you said 1-0 or something. And do you know what I mean? It gets mad, doesn't it? So
it does, mate. Yeah. It does.
Listen, I think Spurs and Arsenal are going to be 2 different games. Well, obviously 2 different games. That's stating the obvious, in it, but 2 different like kettles of fish. You know, obviously one's going for that, and I think, you know, it's going to be a lot difficult to make the semis of the cup. And Spurs at home, I fancy a lot more. So that's what I meant by a completely different.
Yeah, as I said, I don't want to spend too long on something like this because I know we're doing preview shows, sure, and stuff like that to go into more depth and more details.
Thrown off due to COVID, like last week's show was.
And to round off the month, the following Sunday, we've got Bridgewater United in the FA Cup, away from home. Another trip down south. You know, we love our trips down south. This one, I don't know for the life of me. I expect quite a few changes for this one, or am I being, or maybe am I maybe too disrespectful? Because we know the FA Cup, we know the giant killing process that goes on the FA Cup. Should we be cautious, or should we go and give the likes of Carrie Jones game time, give the likes of your fringe players, like they haven't had much game time at this moment in time. Give them game. I definitely expect Sophie Bagley to start this game against Bridgewater. I can't. I won't say it's going to be wholesale changes. It won't change the whole entire 11, but I do think there'll be 5 or 6 changes in there. Am I right to assume that, or do you think we should put our strongest 11 out for a cup game of that magnitude?
No, listen, I'd say 5 or 6. Right. Listen, last year we played Burnley, who were a tier above Bridgewater. So I think for me, 5 or 6 changes would be about right. I think the thing is, you've got to look at it, is that after Bridgewater, it's Arsenal in the league. So, and then it's City. So I'm not saying sit here and rest players, but they need to give players a bit of a break and rest players, especially when we're playing midweek this week and obviously weekend. I think we should, Bagley, Chuck Martha in there if she's fit, Carrie Jones, Fuso, Smithy. Who else can I rattle off? I don't know. But yeah, those types of players, obviously, like I say, against Burnley, we obviously saw Tara Bourne last year, didn't we? And that was good. But
Carrie Jones,
yeah, well, I mentioned Carrie Jones last year, but Carrie Jones this year, give her a go. Just trying to think, Thoris Dottir, Martha Thomas, give her a bash. I don't see why we can't chuck a few devs on the bench to maybe come up. Anybody that's ready or anybody that listen, if she hasn't gone out on loan, I would actually be looking at Maria Edwards as well. I mean, she might go out on a loan, but I would fully expect should be taking her down there, People will be calling for Kana Solskjaer, no doubt, as well. Obviously, Robert's just mentioned it. I was just about to say that. Niamh Murphy's been training with the first team on the bench a couple of times prior to sort of New Year. Why not?
I just don't need to put in there. Sorry, mate. But the one thing that has surprised me is how long it's taken Mary Edwards to sort of break through at the minute. She's a player with some. I'd tell you, she's a world of a player. When you look at that sort of level, she makes everything look so comfortable and so easy. I know she went on to pre-season with us to the Norway tour, but we've not seen much of her in the first team. I know she's been on various different loans.
She went to Blackburn, didn't she?
Yeah.
Came back, been smashing it for the devs, and then she got injured for a little while. She had a boot on. So I don't know what that was, but it put her out for a while. And then, been back and still scoring and assisting. I think there was a game, like I say, pre-Christmas, and she scored 4 goals and assisted God knows how many as well. So I think, listen, it's one we had. Obviously, I had Emma Sanders on a couple of Mondays ago, and she said, expect some loans out. And I said, to be fair, be letting Maria go to sort of middle to top part of the championship on loan because she needs that experience of just better football and development standard. And she was Blackburn's Player of the Year last year. She did well at Blackburn. Like you said, good player. She come out to Norway. She just needs a chance. And if a chance isn't going to come by coming off the bench, then fine. But don't have her in the devs because she's far too good for that level. I don't know. It's an interesting one. But I do think her, even Rebecca May, somebody like that, she should be involved against Bridgewater or, again, another loan. Obviously, Chloe Williams has been loaned to Blackburn, as has the goalkeeper. So it's one of them, innit? Let's just look to use these youngsters where possible.
Absolutely. If we if we're comfortable in the game again, we're out for the last 15, 20. Just get them used to playing senior football at the senior level. At the highest level that you can play football at. And somebody's going to say, "Oh no, it's only Bridgewater, but it's still senior football." It's still football at high. Yeah, exactly. They're going to be up for it. They're going to be up for it. They want a giant killing scout, mate.
Absolutely. Well, there's close to 2K going as well. I think there's 1.8 sold out of 2.5. So listen, this will be their day. It's all about, like you say, the cup and getting the money from the ridiculous prices they're charging, and
don't get you started on the prices.
I had to get that in there, and all the stuff like that. But no, listen, they'll be up for it. They've got nothing to lose. But like you say, don't underestimate them and don't take the mick. But I would still like to see some changes, obviously. So
John Fry is disagreeing with us. He thinks we should go strong in the cup against Bridgewater.
The thing is, I don't know the state of the pitch, and all I'm thinking about is if it's like a typical 3rd, 4th tier pitch and it's all boggy. And listen, they've moved the game. Tomorrow they're playing at college behind closed doors because of the state of the pitch. So that tells me all I need to know. I don't want somebody like Leslie or Tooney going on that and then doing the bloody knee or the ligaments or somebody flattening them because the pitch is crap. Do you know what I mean? So I get worried in that aspect, mate. I try and look at the bigger picture. But yeah, that's fair enough from John. If that's where he thinks go strong in the cup, there's a need to win and we don't want a giant killing. I agree in that respect, but I still think we utilise the squad for me and do it that way. But yeah, all for that. That's, good for him.
Yeah, I'll leave that there because again, I'm sure we'll be doing previews to these games. I don't want to go too much detail because obviously we don't want to seem like we're repeating ourselves and robotic and all that stuff, you know. But, so I'm going to move on to the last sort of topic of the evening, and that is the COVID postponements again, and of course the Asia Cup, which is, I know it's not on the bottom of the screen there, but Matt did mention about the Asia Cup. I had no idea there was an Asia Cup. Which is it the sort of like AFCON sort of a type of a thing that's going on this time of year, the women's game then?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's like a mirror thing. Obviously, AFCON's AFCON, and this is obviously Asia Cups. It's like, you know, the likes of Australia are in that. Obviously, your teams, you know, your Japans and things like that. Your Asian teams, basically. So, yeah, something that it happens every year. Obviously, you know, if you're Aussie heavy or you've got a couple of Japanese, things like that, then you're going to lose them players, which is what teams are doing at the minute. So yeah, that's the Asia Cup for you.
That's as simple. At least we all know what the Asia Cup is because I didn't know there was one. But there we go. But moving on to COVID, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher both came out again. I know the men's game is different. I know the squads are bigger. The money's a lot more in that game, of course, in the men's game. But Gary Neville was saying that, you know, the Premier League squads of 30 should not be calling games off. They should be giving youth a chance, giving your reserves a chance, your devs, whatever you want to call it. I was just going to say to you, Matt, our teams now are beginning to use COVID as an excuse now to get matches called off because how many players they actually missed due to COVID? It's like at the minute we know that teams in the men's game are trying to get games called off because they've lost a handful of players to the AFCON or they've got a couple of players injured and they might have one or two with COVID. How long do we go on using? I mean, let's be fair, if there's a huge outbreak of COVID, not a problem. Call it off. You know, of course, everyone's health and safety comes first. But I'm starting to think a lot of teams start to use it as a bit of an excuse now when they might have a few injuries and maybe one or two COVID cases. And the easiest things to do is just go, yeah, can we get our game call off at the weekend? Are you more in favour of telling teams, listen, you've got academies, you've got youth teams, you've got reserves in there? Give them a shot, give them a go, or do you think it's right in the women's game that we still just take it cautiously and call it off? Where do you stand on it, pal?
No, I think it's an excuse, and I think the league should be embarrassed for allowing themselves to take, I don't know, these excuses, because the thing is, like you said, you talked about what they said on Sky last night, and, you know, I fully agree, and I sort of tweeted about this. You know, it's never been about having your best team available. You know, the reason why games were called off was due to COVID, and it was because you couldn't have sort of 13 fully fit players. Now the thing is, teams now are sort of basing it off their best team, like I said. So if the best teammate available, they're coming up with every excuse, in my view, in the book to try and get it off. You know, whether it's Asian Cup, whether it's injuries, whether it's COVID. Now I read something yesterday, and I think it was last week or the week before, Everton got called off and it said they had 13 COVID cases. Now, I read something yesterday and it said they've got another 13. I'm thinking, well, you've not got a 26-player squad in your first team. So how the hell have you got a new... Do you know what I mean? It feels like an excuse, because how have you got 26 cases in 2 weeks when you've not even got 26 players in your first team? And it's stuff like that what rattles people. Like, you know, it shouldn't be. Injuries are unfortunate and they're part of the game, right? But COVID is COVID, and that was supposed to be the line. You know, the thing for me is, like you talked about men's teams having God knows how many players, right? Most women's teams aren't the same in terms of squad size. However, I'm not buying that the likes of Chelsea, with all the players they hoard and buy, don't have enough players. Don't have 13 fully fit players. And listen, we can include devs in that as well. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Like I say, they've lost Sam Kerr. They've lost, who's the other one now? G. This Asia Cup. There might be a few injuries, but tough. Get on with it. Carla Ward today, they played. They've got, God knows, I think she said 9 COVID cases and injuries and still put out a team. They want to play. Villa want to play. Other teams have had, I think Birmingham were hit by it today. Brought 5 or 6 devs, want to play. Why do you know what I mean? Why are we accepting it as a plausible excuse? Why all of a sudden, is it now becoming a trend to call things off? It's honestly, it's ridiculous. It's getting my back up because do you want to see the game or not? We've got Euros coming up in summer. Then people will be moaning them because players are tired and we're having to cram games in midweek because certain teams, it's honestly, it needs looking into and properly because I'm not having that. Like I say, 26 COVID cases in 2 weeks. I'm not buying that one bit at all. So I just doesn't sit well with me. Get out there, play the game. If you have to use devs, you have to use devs. You've got injuries, tough. We had injuries last year. Other clubs I've been watching this season had 8, 9, 10 players out. It's football. Get on with it. But don't start just because players are missing due to the Asian Cup and just because, we're playing these this week. We don't want to get smashed, Tough, get out there and play the game. Doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure if it was Chelsea versus Birmingham, they'd be all absolutely buzzing to play it. They won't care. But as soon as it's like Chelsea versus a team that could potentially take points of them, or same for Arsenal or West Ham and Tottenham and all them lot, all of a sudden we've got 20 million players missing. And no, it's just, I'm not buying it one bit. Same for the men, mate. I feel exactly the same way about that. I think it's absolutely crap. Like I say, bloody Arsenal on Thursday fielded a team absolutely fine. 2 days later, we've had a big outbreak. Have you really? Doubt it. Liverpool as well. Even come out and admitted they said they had something like 18 false positives. Load of shite.
John Fry, maybe Hayes doesn't know what devs are.
Yeah, but the issue is she doesn't need to because, like I said, there's about 30 first teamers anyway. If you look at that bloody squad, so they don't need devs. They've got more than enough in first team anyway. Just full of excuses. That's all.
The reason why I favour it as well, though, when you're a young footballer, you're coming through. Even in the women's game, it could be hard to break into the first team. And you imagine what a great opportunity it is for some of these devs to take a step up, even if it's just for one match, to show what they could do on possibly what could be the biggest stage of their career so far. Some of them thrive under that thing. Some of them have no fear. Some of them will go out there and absolutely give it their all. And you never know, you might have found somebody that's quietly working away in the devs that's gone under your radar, comes into your first team, and then boom, that player becomes your next superstar. I don't know, mate. I'm not saying that teams are lying. I don't want to. Obviously, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But you look at some of the things that have been said. It's like, really? I've got a feeling if Willie Kirk was still in charge of Everton, mate, it would be. Do
you know what I think? I think he might have left his book of excuses there because that's don't forget that's 2 weeks now on the bounce. Like I said, there's no way. 100% they have not got 26 COVID cases. 100%. But I wanted to go back. Hang on, you've taken it off.
Sorry, that's about the 16-year-old.
Yeah, so James is saying here about that, and I heard about this, and there was a comment on this, and people saying, teams like Bayern Munich and in other leagues and other countries, they're all playing the kids, but yet in England, it's a massive issue. Why is it only us or some of our teams that are, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that, clubs don't want to play for what they're paid to do. That's like me saying I don't want to go to work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm paid to do it. You've got no choice. You either work or you don't. You either play football what you're paid for, or you come up with your shite excuses. So, yeah, go back to Amy's comment.
So, yeah, I just wanted to just highlight this one as well about the different if it's a training centre had to close. Like United had to do a few weeks back where Carrington was closed for a certain period of time. But it's just spot on it as well. But if you've got 14 players over 16 at a club, that's just negligence, you know.
Well, it's spot on. If you read Tottenham men's statement from before, and they were saying they got thrown out of the Europa Conference League, you know, Leighton Orient got thrown out the cup.
Yeah,
that's true. The same thing. Other teams have, you know, chucked out of competitions, yet we're allowing it and making a mockery of it now. What's changed? There's no different. Like you say, training ground's not closed. I saw a picture of West Ham before on Twitter. And they're all training. I think somebody tweeted, like, do your players not need to isolate or something? And that's from, you know, you're thinking, well, hang on a sec. How's that happened? How's everyone miraculously back? Do you know what I mean? There's don't sit right with me. I just don't buy it. Like I say, if Carla Ward at Birmingham and Carla Ward at Villa, Darren Carter at Birmingham can play with depleted squads, you know. Leicester the other day on Wednesday, you know, there was 5 or 6 devs involved, first team and on the bench. Again, they had a bit of a COVID breakout sort of around Christmas and they're still missing a heck of a lot. But you don't see these lot using excuses. They got walloped 5-0 on Wednesday in the Conti Cup.
Yeah.
Still going out and playing.
It's just a part of the integrity of the competition, though. If people are starting to go...
of it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? If people started to like go, all of a sudden we've got a couple of injuries to a couple of key players, like you said, if it was... I'm just going to throw a fixture out there. If it's Chelsea versus Arsenal, Chelsea got, as you said, a couple of missing for the Asia Cup, and then they've got a couple of COVID cases, and they might have 2 or 3 out injured, even if they've got a whopping great big squad. And Emma Hayes is obviously going to try and find any excuse to get the game called off. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be happening like that. I think it throws the integrity of the league, of whatever competition that you may be playing in that week. Yeah. It throws it into absolute.
The thing is, it's only going to backfire on them when they have a big pile up of fixtures and then they do get injuries. They're not going to be able to keep calling them off. It's going to get to a point where the league's going to turn around and say, tough, play your devs or lose the points. All about money. Yeah, spot on. But I just think it's ridiculous. Like, you know, it can't be. It just makes a mockery, like I said before, of it. You know, it was like last week. I think Sky were going to, whoever was on Sky and that got postponed, it was like, right, we'll go to this game. That got postponed. And then they ended up putting Birmingham and Arsenal on. It's just messing everybody about. It just doesn't look great. But like I say, hopefully those teams have a fixture pile up and then it really does them in. And then that'll be tough. That'll be their own fault. And then they lose points or they drop points or whatever. And that will be great. But we'll see. But yeah, rant over.
Yeah, I think we'll end it on that rant anyway. You know, it's a good way of ending the show.
Good way to end the show with a good rant.
Yeah. But before we do, obviously, we know that you're going to ask you the usual. What's coming up during the week, and obviously your usual pin posts and whatever when they'll be out, just to let the people know, because it's been a while since we've done it.
I know. Well, it feels weird saying it's not game day tomorrow. But so tomorrow we've got obviously weekly catch up, which is standard for a Sunday. We've got schedule out as well, late evening ish. Got me and a few others. There's a few of us going watching FC United tomorrow. They've got a derby against Stockport, so we'll do some content on that. John and his crew are going to Stourbridge, so again, he's going to do a few little bits on that. And then at 7:00 we've got a mini show. Obviously myself and Gareth went up to Newcastle United last week. We were invited up by FC to do some filming, so we've done just a little bit of like a match day blog, really, or vlog. There's interviews in there, there's discussions, a bit of game footage, there's talking points, like I say, interviews, things like that. So yeah, we were fortunate to go up there, and like I say, it's only about 20-25 minutes long, dropping at 7:00. But for those that enjoy that sort of thing, we've never done it before, it's something new. And yeah, credit to Gareth who's edited that for us. Gone through, like I say, ages, like tons of footage just to find bits. So yeah, that drops tomorrow, and then obviously Monday we'll have a more in-depth full match reaction with John. Tuesday my show, and Wednesday and so on. Yeah. Busy working week as per, but schedule's out tomorrow, so check that out. But yeah, check that out and check out the extra content we're chucking your way at 7. Let us know what you think about it as well, and then yeah, all good. Bit of everything tomorrow.
Yeah. Get yourself down to any local teams that are in and around your area. Give them a bit of support, especially after the crummy couple of years that we've had, especially the teams that need it in and around the lower leagues. Get yourself down there.
Don't pay $12.50.
I've done well. We're not going to try to pay anything over £5. Anyway, anyway, thank you for everybody that's joined us today. Thank you, John Hume, as usual, mate. I want to get him on a show one day. We're going to get John on a show. John, I know we're camera shy, mate. Thank you, John Frey, as usual. James as well. Thank you. I think you've been on a few shows before, man. It's been a long time. I do apologise since I've done it. Rob, as always. Gareth has always been the highlight, of the robotic emojis and what have you. Got to be done. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll see you in the next one next week. Take care.
Yes.